Well, to introduce myself and Jacqueline, Jacqueline and I are both alumni from the One Thought Institute in London, and we're absolutely delighted to be here talking to you about business, because I know we've both had quite interesting journeys in how our businesses occurred and how they've developed. I'm going to start, if that's okay. My name's Jacquie Forde, and I am from Scotland, in case you couldn't tell by the accent. To give you my background is my qualifications are in nursing and midwifery, and I spent about 8 or 9 years as a nurse and a midwife. And then I went to work in pharmaceutical sales, and I stayed in that industry, pharmaceutical sales and medical device sales, for 27 years. So I have a corporate background of carrying the bag in sales, marketing, being a business unit director, and also working in government affairs. So talking to politicians on behalf of the various blue chip organisations that I worked with. It's been a very, very interesting journey. So my background has always been about health and well-being. And about 5 years ago, my mother passed away, and at the same time as my mother passed away, I was given the opportunity to either take a job in London, which being a Scottish person you wouldn't want to do, or just taking the redundancy money and creating my own business. And I did that, and I went into business with a colleague, and we developed a not-for-profit business that was looking at health inequalities. But that business didn't work out, because that business was created from a place of fear. I was leaving corporate, doing my own thing, wanted to make money, wanted to do everything that I had done in the past. And it just didn't work out. And it didn't work out in a nice way at the end, unfortunately. And about 3+ years ago, I came across this understanding the principles. And when I'd gone out of business with this guy, I decided I'd create my own businesses. So I created a for-profit business and a not-for-profit business, again created out of fear. But both those businesses did really well, and I was earning 6 figures from those 2 businesses within about 3 or 4 months. Because people knew me, they knew my business skills, and they knew that I had lots of contacts within the various industries that I'd worked in for 30 odd years. But something didn't feel right, so didn't feel right. And last year I went to do formal studying of this understanding the principles with the One Thought Institute. And after the first weekend, I took both my business websites down. Completely down. I thought, I have no clue what these businesses are about. One was called the Wellbeing Alliance, and the other one was a public affairs agency. I thought, I really don't know what these businesses are about. They don't feel right. And what I let happen was, I didn't chase clients, I didn't look for business, and my income, 6 figures, started to go like this. As you can imagine, I wasn't chasing business, wasn't looking for it. Now, there's a lot of thinking that happens when one's income is going down like this. And you would expect your well-being to go down like this as well, on a similar path. I am so grateful that that is not what happened to me, because my understanding was deepening. I started to see that my well-being wasn't linked to the amount of money that I made. And not only that, my husband started to see that too, which was a joy, because I would look at him getting uptight about bank statements, because we have 3 daughters, 2 of them at university, etc., etc. So while this is all happening, I was like, please tell me what these businesses are meant to be doing. I knew it was meant to be something to do with this understanding. I knew it was. And I've spoken to so many people, when you come across this understanding, you can almost negate all of your past life experience, because you just want to talk about the principles. And that's what I was doing. I thought, no, it's just to be about the principles. I've not to do with public affairs, campaigning. I've not to build strategies for anybody. Oh, no, that's dirty. I've not to do that. And then, all of a sudden, I found myself doing things. I had a thought when I was at the 3PGC conference in London at Teakin, and I said to Karen, who's sitting in the audience, oh, I'm going to hold a meeting at the Scottish Parliament about these principles. Just a little seed. Just let it flow. Had a couple of other ideas. By the time I got to 3PGC conference in Minnesota, I'm up speaking to Elsie Spittle. Elsie, will you come over to Scotland and speak with me at the Scottish Parliament on this panel? Jack Pransky. I went around collecting people. Collect stamps. Will you do this with me? Will you do that with me? They all said yes. Went up to Judy Banks. Hey Judy, will you come? You know, as well, all of a sudden I had a team of people who were willing to support what it was, my vision was. Still no website, still no income. We held the meeting at the Scottish Parliament. Lots of government organisations came and listened, as well as people from the 3P community. All of a sudden I found myself having invitations to go back in and speak to the Scottish Government Director in Health, mental wellbeing, health inequalities. Fascinating. Still no clarity around what this business is meant to do. And then I got a call from a pharmaceutical company who said, Jackie, we want to work with you. We don't want to work with anybody else. We just want to work with you. You don't need to pitch for business. This is what we want you to do. And it's a project around showing governments in the UK how they can save money by prescribing a certain product without quality being compromised for patients in any way. And I thought, okay, I'll have a chat with you. And then another company came on board, and before I knew where I was, the other business had taken care of itself, the consulting business had taken care of itself, and for 10 days work a month, I'm earning high five figures. The charity, the non-profit side of things, still no clarity. Now this is a year and a half, and I went to see Judy Sedgman speak in Dublin. At the end of listening to Judy Sedgman speak, I sat on the plane with my iPhone. Oh, that does that, that does that, that does that. 5 minutes it took me to decide what this non-profit was going to do. 5 minutes. And within the last, this was in the middle of September, I saw Judy Sedgman. In that period of time, the Wellbeing Alliance, which is a non-profit, is now going to be a 3 Principles political campaigning organisation to support people throughout the world. That's my background. Why wouldn't I use that to help people? I've already done intensives with politicians. It just makes sense. But I was fighting against something to do with that somewhere in my head. Then I thought, oh yeah, there's the Wellbeing Alliance Academy. That will show people how to live their life and increase their health and well-being through this understanding. Boom. And then it was like, oh, I love working with women. Oh, onewoman.global. Onewoman.global gets built, and you know, I met someone last year and we start building all of that. And there's a programme I've been running for the last couple of years called the Wellbeing Alliance Ambassadors Programme, where I've been working with, in partnership with Basketball Scotland, and we work with their under 16 and under 18 girls. And I've been sharing this understanding with them for the last 3 or 4 years. And I then take them into schools in areas of disadvantage. And the girls teach their peers what this means. And they teach the kids really cool behind the back passes, alley-oops, basketball tricks like you wouldn't believe. And these kids get to see that athletes who compete at a national level they're pretty, they don't look like Russian wrestlers, that they're lovely people, and they've got an ease and life about them that is possible for all of us. So from creating businesses from a place of fear with just a little bit of clarity, I now have businesses that I've created from a place of love. Am I earning as much as I would like to? Hell yeah. But it really doesn't matter. I think what I've enjoyed about this journey, Jacqueline, is what I learned through the dark periods, what I learned through the periods where I didn't know what I was doing, the uncomfortableness of, oh my goodness, I'm procrastinating. I'm procrastinating. Why have I not got clarity in this? And what I came to realise was what was going on was germinating. I wasn't procrastinating. it was growing within me.
Gorgeous. And wow.
Yeah. The whole thing as well about, so you'd look at that and you say, oh my God, she's so busy, and it's not like that at all. I love what I'm doing. I really love what I'm doing. I really, really love what I'm doing.
Wow. So when I was thinking about how to best serve you guys, and we haven't prepared at all, we both came up with the same thing. And one of a little bit of an offshoot is I live in complete trust of this, and yet every day I'm in awe of it too, and that's so delicious. It occurred to me that I remember I've been around sort of principals only about 4 years, about the same, and it occurred to me that for a little while I worked with every principal's coach, and it used to frustrate the life out of me when he would say, well, let your wisdom guide you. When I'd say, but I don't know how to run a program, or I don't know how to do a business, or I don't know anything about this. So that occurred to me as being the place to talk about, and riffing off what Jackie's just said, that the power of even glimpsing this for a moment is the thing that then just goes. So it's not about what's thought, mind or consciousness, and this has been reminded to me even more this morning with Jenny and Rudy. The power of a tiny, tiny insight is the thing that's important, nothing else, because the rest is all in our thinking. And to give that a shape, that's what's led me to running a non-profit business now that I love and cherish. I never ever imagined. I said to Karen earlier that I thought my business would be swanking around plush hotels in Hawaii, working with executives, and there I am in a grubby prison in the East Midlands, feeling blessed. As Tony described earlier, they teach me. But to give you a shape of what I mean by the power of just having a glimpse, is that I get less in my own way. So when an idea occurs, it's whoosh into action without me even knowing it's occurred. And I'll tell you a story that backs that up, which even now I keep going, really? So you've heard of Jan and Chip Chipman, yeah? So they came to London and they did a weekend, and I was unable to attend. And I stay in nearby the prison for 2 nights. So I do work in there during the week. And these community nights come up all the time, and I delete because I don't have time to do them. And on 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night, the email comes in, Jan and Chip are at the community night, and I'm about to delete, and I thought, yeah, hell, I'll go for it. So booked the ticket, so the next day I'm on the train going to London in the evening after a day in prison. As you do.
Day release.
Day release. And I go and sit in the beautiful space that Jan and Chip create, and just got moved, and it was wonderful. And I just had a thought while I was there wouldn't it be cool if they came into prison tomorrow? And so I had to get the 10 o'clock train home, back to rugby. So I'm jostling to speak to them because everybody wants to speak to them. So I say hello to Chip and I say, do you want to come to prison tomorrow? As it happens, by the way, I met them in Starbucks accidentally earlier on, so I'd already had an introduction and sort of been able to say that this is the work that I was doing. He says, oh, I don't know. So I speak to Jan and she said, oh, I don't know, we'd love to, but we're in Watford. And there was all logistical stuff. And somebody said this to me earlier, I think it was Julie, said, you had nothing on it. And I didn't, I had nothing on it. It was just an idea occurred to me. I went and asked. It was cool if they didn't, and it was cool if they did. And I got dragged off to go and get my train, which, by the way, was an hour and 45 minutes delayed. So I really didn't have to rush off. But that gave me time to look at what the logistics might be and send them some information. And that was that. I got in at 1:30. I was in prison the next day by 7:30. So I had about 4 hours sleep. So I wake up at 6 o'clock and thinking, oh, I've had 4 hours sleep. And I have an email from Jan saying, we're on the train. Oh. We're coming to spend the day in prison with you, or the morning. So immediately, funnily enough, I didn't feel tired anymore. So I have 2 groups on a Thursday, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. My colleague, bless her, said, how about we get 2 groups together? Oh, I said, no, that's too messy. You have to ring all these wings and it's just messy. No, let's keep it simple. I went in and printed our lists for the guys that we've got, and I could see their little faces, the afternoon men, and I thought, oh, I can't let them miss out on this. So then I said, come on then, let's do it. So we had 10 minutes to reorganise the whole day, which in a prison system, you wouldn't believe it. But we did it, and we got most of them. And then we spent the morning with Jan and Chip Chipman and my boys. And my colleague who works with me in the afternoon, we cancelled her because she comes up from London to work with me. And she said, I saw you last night, and then I woke up and between the time when I saw you and I woke up this morning, this whole thing has been created. How did that happen? And I think that's a really, really good example of, I had an idea and I had no thinking around that, I just followed it. And lots of times I do have thinking around it. But the power of having glimpsed even the tiniest bit that I've glimpsed means that I don't add anything into the mix. I'm able to be fresh and follow it and go with it, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and if it does work, it's... Dr. Aaron Turner says, you know, given the chance, mind always over-delivers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, who knew? Like, I literally kept pinching myself thinking, I'm still at Euston Station and I've fallen asleep and like I'm going to wake up in a minute and then I'm going to have to go back to the B&B and then go to prison in the morning. I couldn't believe it. And really, that's how my business has grown. Really, I have little to do with it. I just follow. Mm. And then I get back this enormous thing that I could never have envisaged. So to just bring that back to how does it best serve you, and when I remembered, and you're probably all far, far more enlightened than I was because I'm a very slow learner. Is people talk about getting out of your own way, but then that becomes a thing. But there's no thing. So I would say be okay with whatever small, tiny thing that's occurred to you, because that, as you said, germinates and does its thing. Was that at all helpful? Yeah.
And it's all a game anyway. You know, it really, really is. I was telling Ian a story about something that happened to me, and it cracks me up actually. I had been asked to go in and speak to the Ministry of Defence. They were having issues with people with stress and illness, etc. And I walked in, and you go through all these procedures, you have to sign in and go through security, etc. There were all of these people walking about with their uniforms on, looking very rigid and solid and, quite aggressive. And I immediately dropped into my thinking, sort of, why am I here? They're not going to listen to anything I've got to say. And then a fresh thought came into my head. Oh bless, they're playing dress up. in that moment, I was trying to suppress my laughter. It's like, how can you take anything seriously once you've got that thought in your head? So now when I go in and I speak with anybody at all, every day, every single one of us, is just playing dress up. You see the people with their fancy suits on, strutting about, with their wee suitcases and briefcases. It's like, get over yourself. You're just like me. You're making it up as you go along. We are all making it up as we go along. So why not have some fun with that? Have some lightness with that? Because we make business a thing. And we come across this understanding, and it's kind of like, we get it for ourselves, and this is wonderful, life is good, and my family and everything's improving. But there's business, and it's this separate entity that has all the dark thoughts that, that you don't want to touch. It's just another thing. It's like bathroom, business, spa, they're just words. Aren't they? But we put all this layers and layers of thought on top of it.
That's really good. She's so cute. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they'd like to share?
What I really got to hear from what you've said is that I wouldn't want to say even that we're all on a mission, but that we're given this mission. It's almost like, off you go now.
Yeah.
Like, it's unique to us and our experience and our path. And I got to really hear that from both of you today. And it's just a reminder that that's actually within all of us. And that it's almost like wisdom goes, okay,
yeah.
off you go.
I love that, Marina, because see the Parliament thing, it wasn't going to, it was Jacquie, you're doing this. I had no choice. I've told Karen this. It's like, for God's sake, leave me alone. I want to make money. No.
You're getting distracted over here.
Yeah, this is what you have to do.
But that it's true for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That we're all here. We all have our own blueprint of what we need to get done. And it's not even that you have to get it done. It's like, it's just unique to us because of who we are, because of the experiences we've had.
Yeah.
And it's almost like those experiences are really important in terms of where it then takes us and who we're connected to. And if we look back, it will all make sense. We will connect the dots. But in the moment, we don't know that. But looking back, we can see that person we met randomly then took us to somebody else, then took us to somebody else, and that, so thank you. I just really got to hear that more deeply today.
I mean, I was really, really quick to dismiss all of my experience when I came across this understanding. That I felt my mission was just to share this. and I just was trying to constantly bin everything, but it kept coming back to me, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to do, and I did. I had all these internal sort of fights and thoughts with it, and then it was just like, oh, for goodness sake, and just started to follow. But even doing what I'm doing it in such a different way. Previously, if I was building a strategy or a campaign for a client, I would have all my stakeholders written down, I would have the dates that I'd seen them, the next call objective, the briefing document about who they were and what they had for their breakfast. Everything would be laid out. This time round, there's such an ease. It's just, I'll get in touch with so-and-so. Okay, I'll send a message here. It's time to phone that person. And I've just done that as it's occurred to me. I do make to-do lists, but I do it from my heart. I have to do this. I have to do that. So I don't have, no, I can't even say that. I don't not have to-do lists. But I don't batter myself over the head and body if I don't get it all done either, anymore. That list where you tick off, I've done that, I've done that. If anybody's like me, I write it in black and then I score it out in red. Just that's what I used to do. I still do it, I still enjoy it. But I would get really upset if I didn't get everything done that I was meant to get done on that day, whereas now just carry it forward. Or I didn't do it, so obviously it doesn't matter. It'll take care of itself, and it usually does.
Is your name Marina?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I really loved about what you said is that for a long time I was looking for purpose. Like, what's my purpose? What's my path? And I've come to see, of course, that's not a thing either. So that's just a made-up concept. But what I loved about what Marina said is that every single thing that I have done and that I am doing is just what's meant to be, because you're doing it and you're in it. So it's got to be meant to be. Yeah. And that goes for the whole spectrum of experience. So the stuff that I'm uncomfortable with, I don't enjoy so much. Public speaking used to be a complete no-no for me. No way. I was so petrified. And I had a thought about 2 years ago-ish that for some reason I thought I'm going to be doing public speaking. And I thought, oh no, why? No, go away. I don't want that thought. And here I am. So even the experiences that I label as bad or uncomfortable are just the experiences that teach me or grow me or show me something, and I'm just in them, and that's my humanness, and that's just all okay. So I've come to even love the stuff that I don't love because it's just all the same. It's all the same.
Does anyone get anything they would like to share about how they're feeling about business, or why they're here listening to us talking about business? Or?
I just have a question. I'm really intrigued about Jacquie in the prison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did that happen? Yeah, is that something that came to you, or you?
Accidentally. So, as I say, I had this plan where I was going to teach executives in Hawaiian plush hotels. I keep saying it because one day. So the short version is, whilst I was trying to make money and trying to make it happen and so on, I fell in love with a population of people that others describe as lost. I met someone who'd been 25 years heroin, crack cocaine addict, a self-confessed wrong-un, in and out of jail, 9 years I think he served, And he was clean and sober when I met him, 3 years, and had set up a non-profit business making films and teaching people how to make film. And I was absolutely so awesomely inspired by him. I started volunteering on his company and working with him and helping him. There's a whole story there which I won't go into, but through him I met other people like him that had suffered with addictions and offending behaviour and so on. And Karen, bless your heart, let me see something earlier that I'd not ever seen before. I came into that completely fresh, and I just didn't believe the model that was out there. I couldn't believe that addiction is a disease. I couldn't buy that. Just intuitively, I just thought it's wrong. And people are replacing one set of beliefs about themselves, about their addictive nature, with another set of beliefs about recovery and what that looks like. And that, to me, it looked like, and that they were in these limitations of what recovery is, or what addiction is, or who they were. And for me, very, very simply in those days, it was, but they have so much more potential. These people are amazing. They have so much resilience and determination and persistence and well-being that's just covered up by a bit more thinking and, excuse the expression, crap than the rest of us let on, really. So that's just what I saw in the early days, and I always felt like, well, I'll make my business over here and then I'll help over here in my spare time. And like you, that's what I kept doing, and I kept trying to go down that path, and it was hard and difficult, and I've been through personal bankruptcy, trying to follow that path as well, and so on and so forth, but I kept trudging uphill. And over here I was having an amazing time. I was just having conversations and enjoying it and seeing things, learning. And then one day, and I have told this story to some people, so apologies if you've heard it, in September 2013, I was volunteering for my guy, and he's not my guy, by the way, he's just, this is a guy. And I was interviewing people on a recovery walk. There's a recovery walk, and it happened to be in Birmingham, and I was interviewing people on the walk. And it was a beautiful day like it is today. And I walked into the park, and I was just filled with love. And I was swamped with love. Every part of me felt love for these people in the park. And I knew then, I have to work with these people, whatever it takes. I don't know what it means. I don't know how I'm going to earn money, but that's what I have to do. And I have to say, that just carried me. And I just kept looking in that direction and not being concerned about this stuff. And along the way, I was so lucky. I ended up getting a project that I only worked on 1 day a week that paid me enough to pay my bills. So the rest of the time I could work on this stuff. I thought eventually maybe I'll just do a little bit of project management and do this for free, and I did it for free for over 12 months. And then in August last year, I thought, what would it look like? I had this project for another 3 months, and I thought, what would it look like if, incidentally, the guy was at university, and he has some disabilities, and he gets some money to help him with his work. So I ended up being his support worker at university. a thing that I would have gone in the past. No, I'm not doing that. I'm a coach, you know, I'm not doing that. But then suddenly I thought, oh yeah, I can earn some money doing that, and then I can go and do this. And he's now got a first-class honours degree in BA Media and Comms, and he's got married and he's had a baby. He's got an amazing life. And I just thought in August last year, what would it look like if I just put everything I know about business into creating a business around this? What would that look like? So I played with it. And I met someone who's the service manager of a prison, and he's got talking to me, and he invited me in, and I went to talk to him, and then he asked me for a business case, and he asked me for some research, and so on and so forth. So just the path just kept unfolding in front of me, and I just kept following it. And then in January this year, I didn't even have a business. So I didn't even have a business at this point. In January of this year, we got a 12-month contract paid for by a local county council to go and deliver workshops to the guys in prison, plus the people who support them. So we do staff awareness. It's like the dream job. And I thought, better get a business then. And I already had an idea for what I wanted to call it. Well, people told me what it was going to be called, so I just went with that, Beyond Recovery. And I set up the business in February, and it's just kept happening. And just to tell you that, and so has the things that didn't work too. Mm-hmm. So I've applied for funding that I didn't get, and I've tried to talk to other prisons that haven't had me in, and so on and so forth. So those things still happen, but I don't see that it matters, because I'm doing whatever I'm meant to be doing, and I have those ideas and I follow them, and then Jan and Chip have come, and that was amazing. And I have such a small personal mind, I cannot see the potential of what I'm doing. I can just slightly feel it. Mm. And I know that will carry me. And maybe it's here now, maybe it's Hawaii next year. Thank you for asking.
Maybe there's prisons in Hawaii.
Outside beach prisons.
I have some friends working in prisons in Oregon. Would you like to go there?
Oh yes.
That's halfway to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I just have to say that, Jackie, when you were talking about your businesses, and is it the Wellbeing Alliance? What I heard was the Wellbeing Alliance and Bastards.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
And then immediately I see working with battered wives, people that are abused. I think, that's quite a catchy little title.
Yeah, when I heard that too, and I thought that you were talking about people that didn't have parents or whatever.
That's my accent.
And what is it then? Because I thought it was that.
There's the Wellbeing Alliance and the Wellbeing Academy.
Yeah. Where did the
Wellbeing Baskets.
Oh no, the Wellbeing Ambassadors. Oh my goodness, you heathens! You absolute heathens! So that's why you're all looking at me going, why are they taking into schools? No.
Basketball.
Yeah, like the bees were playing basketball. No, not at all. It's an ambassador program.
You said basketball as well.
I did say basketball. Wellbeing Alliance Ambassador Program. Let me just clarify this. Partnered with Basketball Scotland, taking young basketball players into schools to teach basketball and this understanding. Thank you for that. I'll not sleep tonight. Oh dear.
As soon as you said it was sexier, that was
Oh right. That's what set the tone. Oh dear.
But that's so cool, because that is an absolute complete demonstration of how it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that you hear something and that triggers something in you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. You can read it on the bottom of a cornflake packet.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because what matters is what came for you. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Perfect.
I also saw incredible comedy potential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And some
Every single moment there's comedy potential, Leslie. Absolutely.
Some people have said to me that some people in the principles are very serene and calm, and that they didn't know how they could ever fit. I don't think that applies to us. Because there is such a joy.
There's a joy and a lightness about this understanding, no matter where you play with it in your life, you know, and it really is only your life.
Yeah.
Business is just a thing. You know, it's just a thing that you get to play with and enjoy. But as you can see, neither Jacqueline nor myself, just to let you know, Jacqueline's my Sunday name when my mother was angry with me, so I call myself Jacquie. Neither Jacqueline nor I have a business plan.
Wow.
Do you have a business plan?
I don't, but I recently won a place on a thing called the School for Social Entrepreneurs. There's a plug, and they're helping me write a business plan, and it's a complete anathema to me. However, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was just fun because I came to see. I thought I'll go and listen and see what I can learn. And they talked about this business model canvas, and we got sticky notes out and coloured pens, and that was it.
Yeah.
I was in my element. So actually, I am writing a business plan.
Cool for you. See, because I've done business,
Yeah.
I don't need one. It's all in my head, so I've not sort of written anything down because I'm just following where I'm meant to go, what I'm meant to do.
But
when
there's
I'm meant
no
to do.
rule.
There's no rules.
So plan, no
No
plan.
blueprint.
Plan now, plan not plan. There's no rule. There are no rules. There's no right way. And it's that thing of, in the moment, that's the thing that you need to do.
What I hear is when things come easily and when it's come with an ease, everything seems really clear what to do next. But in the moment when the elevators goes down from me to the basement in the level minus 2 or whatever,
It's actually
it
to hell.
tends to be a big thing to solve in some kind of way that's not solvable. It's like an iceberg.
Yeah.
And as soon as the level of awareness goes up, it's melting.
That's right. When you have visibility, you have visibility. And when you don't have visibility, sometimes all you have to say to yourself is, what is it I'm not seeing? And then just let that go. You don't have to analyse it. It's what's not clear to me. What am I not seeing? And keep living.
Yeah, and I think Tony pointed to this earlier, is that, and even there, the next thing in that moment, you know, in that moment, you might not be able to see 10, I can't see 10 years, I can't even see 5, that's why business plans. But in that moment, wisdom's still available. So I work with facilitators that they're doing work experience with me, so they understand the principles and they're coming to implement it if that's a way to look at it. And what they see is that even when they don't quite, how I put it is if they're off their grounding, so even when they're not on their grounding and they're sharing something that's coming from their head instead of their their heart. Wisdom's still in the room. Even when you get a word wrong, wisdom's still in the room. Mind's still in the room. So even there, and you know, we work with people who spend a lot of time there, they get to, that's why I love working with them. Their wisdom is palpable because they had wisdom even at their lowest, darkest, deepest place. They didn't know that's what it was necessarily, and all I'm doing is pointing back. Yeah, that was wisdom. That's what we're talking about. So even there, it's always available.
I really like that. Somebody asked me when I was with a group recently, there was a question which I've been asked a number of times. It's, you know, how do you know the difference between just a silly idea and wisdom? You know, that's me really getting in the head about that. And I reflected on it. What occurred to me was, I said, well, you know, there's a way in which wisdom won't leave you alone. You know, it kind of bugs you. Do you know what I mean? It has that persistence to it. That's been my experience. Silly ideas come and go, but wisdom doesn't go. You know, sticks around. Which you don't always see in the moment, but as you were saying later on, you see it's like there was something pulling you this way all the time. All the time. All the time.
Steph?
I noticed that recently in the sense that I had this business-related idea, and it was a big idea, and I got really excited about it, really excited about it. And then I started asking myself, so is this wisdom or is this just a silly idea? So I started getting in my head about it. And I remember going to the pub with my husband and raka, talking about this, and he was like, what's going on? And then I started to dawn on me that it's starting to become about me. So almost the urgency, the level of excitement that came with it, the quality of it, and the fact that I couldn't stop talking about it was telling me something. So I had to eat some humble pie and go, okay, it's become about me. Let's put it aside and see if it pulls me over or not. So it's in the back burner at the moment, and every so often it shows up a little bit. And so I had this little new thought, which was little but quite big it feels, which was just plant the seeds of what you can see now. So just do that bit and let it be. Yeah. Let it be. And whenever you feel a little pull, go and water them or go into something with them. And see if they grow. Yeah. And if they don't grow, that's fine. And that just feels so much more comfortable. It just feels like, oh, that's fun. I can do that. I'm happy planting seeds and tendering them, and then just forgetting about it.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love what you said there, because that's insight doesn't always come in a big, huge parcel with every single detail in it. You know, it would be lovely if it did, but it unfolds and we get glimpses. And if you're pulled to act on the glimpses, then it guides you to where you're meant to be. That's exactly what happened to me, just little glimpses. Action, glimpse, action, without even thinking about it. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yes. Steph, you had...
Yeah, I was loving what you were saying about we have this idea of working with businesses as being separate to prisons or sort of minority groups. And it was interesting, my experience, because I kind of initially, when I first started with the principles, I had an idea of the kind of coaching practice that I wanted. It was going to be worthy, and I was going to be helping people. It was going to be, but my background is in corporate. I wanted to make a change. So as I was sort of going through my training, that kind of fell away to a certain extent. And then opportunities started to arise, and I was invited out to China for a month to talk to a leadership team in casino. Yeah. And I was thinking, oh, this is a great introduction, but not really quite what I want to do. But it's great. I get put up in a hotel and accommodation and expenses. I had this thinking that it's not quite right. It's, I want to make an impact. So kind of finished the training, and then another opportunity came up to work in Abu Dhabi with another hotel leadership team. Okay, I suppose I'll do it because I need to get some money. Went over to Abu Dhabi, and we were talking to a leadership team about team building, and from a 3 principles perspective. And very quickly, the agenda went out the window as it normally does. And after the third day, because a lot of the people with the leadership team were from the Middle East, India, it was a real mixed team. They went really deep, really deep. On the morning of the 4th afternoon, I was having breakfast before flying out, and one guy came up to me and sat in front of me, another guy from the team came up, and one guy was from Sri Lanka, one guy was from Syria, and they both said exactly the same thing. They said, we have been so touched by what we've heard over the last 3 days. We desperately want to take this message back to the people in our country who are suffering so much. They need to hear this stuff. And I was kind of in tears. And what's happened since then, what is just happening just now, is that I've been talking to a couple of the guys there, and they have tried to deepen their grounding a little bit more. They've been spending a lot of time looking at 3P movies and things like that, and they really have learned quite a lot. Their understanding has come on quite well. And I went over to Abu Dhabi again in October, and they were saying, oh, we really want to do something now, but we haven't got a clue how to do it. We want to get materials translated into Arabic, and we want to know how to get it out into the community. So I sort of said, okay, leave it there, just stop that for a minute, because they started to think of things, ways how they couldn't do it. So just stop doing that. And I just made one Facebook message to somebody that I knew who spoke Arabic. They then talked to other people, and before I knew it, I had a Zoom call with like 10 people who were really desperate to help. One of them was a refugee from Syria, and she had contacts. So this weekend I've been talking to Rudy, and he's talking about paying somebody to translate the movies into Arabic so they could. And all this stuff just seems to be. I've done nothing. I have done nothing, but it just seems to be rolling. It just seems to be taking on a life of its own, and we're talking about doing 3Ps training for aid workers. It's just amazing how it's just come out of nothing. And these guys in Syria just are blown away by an example of how the principles work. So, my lesson is, it's not business, it's not this, it's not that, it's just people.
Yeah.
And it's the breadcrumb trail as well. We just go to the one crumb and then just see what happens, then go to another, and without anything on it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but what I've seen is just been so powerful. The impact I can imagine that it's going to have is humbling.
It's beautiful.
So I'm going to carry on doing hotels and things. I can take it there.
That's great. It really is just about showing up and having a heartfelt conversation. You never know where it's going to lead.
And Linda Branksky says, your only job is to enjoy your life. That's it. Wake up every day and enjoy your life. And things appear. It's working for me anyway.
Thank you for coming and listening. You've been
Yeah,
lovely.
thank you. Thank you.